Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of Generations of the Game podcast. I'm your host, JP. And of course, I got my boy with me, Will Lyons. What's up, Will? How you doing today?
Hey, JP, it's always a great day when we recording, brother. How are you?
I'm hanging in there, bro. Hanging in there. Hanging in there. And we also have a special guest with us today, college football aficionado, one of Will's good friends, Ben. What's up, Ben? How you doing, man?
I'm doing really well, man. When Will asked me to come join you guys to talk a little college football, that's right up my alley, so I couldn't turn it down. I'm happy to be here with y'all.
Yeah, man. Happy to have you, bro. Definitely happy to have you. So let's get started. You know we got to get down to y'all right away, right out the gate. On Monday, all the talking stops, all everything stops on Monday. We got the college football playoffs. First game out the gate, Alabama, Michigan. Then we have Texas and Washington. Now, if you ask me personally, I really do believe that Alabama Michigan game should have been the nightcap game. That should be the primetime game. You know, because these are two of the prestigious programs in America. And it's going to be, it's basically going to come down to who is going to be the more physical team who wants it more. So let's start talking. I guess we can start Alabama. Get that out of the way. Alabama and Michigan. So who wants to take this first?
Ben is already ready, man. You see, saving.
Ben's ready. He's ready. He's ready. Come on, Ben. Come on with it, man.
Yeah. So this team, I wouldn't label it one of the best in Nick Saban's tenure in the college football playoff landscape. We don't have that dominant receiver. We don't have that Julio, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle type receiver. Isaiah Bond is really trying to solidify himself as the number one guy, but he's as good as he is, he's still not that upper echelon, number one round, first round pick type of selection that you normally think of when you think about Alabama. Jace McClellan, thankfully, is coming back. He's starting to look good from his ankle injury. He just practiced this week. Nick Saban said that he was looking good. We could really use him. Having Roydell Williams, he's really nice, but as the number one back, it would hurt us a lot if he was our only primary running back. Going out there with freshman Justice Hayes, as talented as he is, you don't want to put a freshman in that type of situation if you don't have to. Especially against y'all's defense. I mean, y'all been the number one defense right there with Penn State all year long. I mean, you guys are a serious defense. You guys got guys at every single level. You guys aren't a defense to be slept on. And for us, when you think of Alabama, you think either, they got to the college football playoff due to a dominant offense or due to a dominant defense. And our defenses and our offense is good, but they're not top echelon. They're not a Michigan defense. We're not. I think we're barely in the top 25 in defense, and we're like in the top 30 in offense. It's not your prototypical Alabama team. We're gonna have to play amazing. Alabama's gonna have to play amazing. I thought that hire that Nick Saban did, taking your guys' former linebacking coach from Michigan, I thought that was a phenomenal move. I mean, what better way to learn the ins and outs of a great defense than take a former head coach or then take a former coach that was on that staff. And hopefully it works out for us, man. Y'all offensively necessarily don't worry me unless you guys are inside the red zone. Inside the red zone, you're going to score pretty much every single time. It's what you guys did all season long. I want the ball to be in J.J. McCarthy's hands all game long. I don't trust him to throw the ball. I don't trust J.J. McCarthy at the end of the day to beat Alabama.
Yeah, good points. I'm a little concerned about Milrose as far as with Michigan, because I don't think we've seen a quarterback, Michigan's seen a quarterback this year that can run and throw the way Milrose could do it. And I hear you. You're right about the type of team that Alabama has, a typical like Nick Saban type of team, but they are a damn good football team, though, and they play their best
especially
football
as of late.
over the last six, 7 games of the season. I'm gonna tell you, JJ McCarthy, he's going to play like he did against TCU last year in the bowl game. He's going to play his best game that he's played this year. They're going to get the running game going with Corum. The receiver Wilson, number 1, he's going to have a monster game. Yeah, he's going to have a monster game. And the tight end, number 18, I forget the kid's name that Michigan has. He's a big part of the offense too. But he's going to play a big game as well. Michigan's got to play near a perfect game for them to beat Alabama. Because, the thing that concerns me is we got a great defense. The defensive line gets a lot of pressure and everything that's there, but the speed of Alabama, the SEC speed's different.
And this is what I was talking to one of my buddies I do a podcast with, is like, SEC we're known for athletes. Like we got guys who are normally track stars. Big Ten, y'all got athletes, but y'all are burly athletes. Y'all are physical guys. You guys normally don't have burners, but you guys got guys who are gonna push you around and make you earn every single thing that you want on the football field. And that could be the thing that helps us is our speed difference. I'm not saying you guys don't have speed. You guys got plenty of speed, but the strength to our receivers, like I said, they might not be the biggest names you've ever heard of come out of Alabama, but one thing they are known for is speed. They are 6 foot, 5'11" speedsters.
Run 4.340.
They all run 4.4, 4.3 possibly. Yeah, they're all burners. And
all burners.
Even our tight end, Amari Niblock, is a walking mismatch. He's a 6'4", 6'5", 235 athlete playing the tight end spot. Whenever he decides to go pro and run his 40, he's probably going to run a 4.5 40.
And what year is he in?
Amari, I think he's a redshirt sophomore, maybe a true junior, but he's definitely going to come back another year.
Yeah, he reminds me of what's that tight end you had a couple years ago that was a first round pick of the Tampa Bay? My mind is going blank. Yeah, he reminds me. Yeah, Howard, OJ Howard. He reminds me of him a little bit.
Yeah, OJ was a little bit bigger. Like OJ was like 6'7", like
6'7". Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
and he could run like a 4.40. Yeah,
he was a freak of nature for sure.
Yeah,
he was one of those Derrick Henry types.
Yeah, I really do think though that Michigan is going to have to really control the clock and run the football effectively though with Corum and Edwards. And I forget their one tackle they had, number 65. He got hurt in the Ohio State game, and he's out for the year. And that's a big blow right there. But this the next man up, man. The corners got to play good. They got to play tight coverage, and the defensive line is going to get at Milrose. But like I said, you never know what he's going to do, and he's going to be a problem for Michigan. He's going to be a problem because, like I said, he can run or throw, and you can tell the improvement he's made throughout the year. And over the past 2 years, this kid next year is going to be a Heisman candidate next year. It's going to be
right there at the end. I mean, he finished 5th or 6th this year.
So, yeah. He's going to be probably the favorite.
And Bo Nix and them. Yeah, I mean, he'll definitely be top 3.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about this game on Monday at 5:30, Michigan and Alabama?
First off, I definitely agree. Oh, my bad, Ben. I definitely think you're right. Like that should have been the primetime game. Just the legacy of the programs. I think it's tailor made for like the later game, for sure. But I think it's going to be a good matchup. Like you guys were discussing. That timeless battle. The defense versus kind of. I'm not that Alabama doesn't have defense, but Alabama's a little more dynamic offensively, and I will say the times I watched Bama this year, I know the diehard fans, kind of questionable on Milroe, week to week. But I do agree, like you feel like you've seen like kind of some steady improvement. And I think that he just has like an it factor that can kind of break a game open. Like his ability to scramble mixed in with his ability to make some big time, pass completions, and the fact that, like you said, Ben, that that old country speed that those receivers have, one missed tackle, they're going, so knowing that obviously it's anybody's game, when the game initially starts. But I will say I do feel like Bama has a little more wiggle room per se than I feel like Michigan does. Like you said, JP, Michigan is looking at least, right now, trying to make predictions. I feel like they have to be almost perfect. And I don't know that McCarthy is going to be perfect, just being real.
Yeah. He can't afford to play like he played against Maryland, because if he plays that, it is going to be lights out early.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's going to be, yeah. So Ben, what do you also with Alabama, who's the kid they got from Texas A&M, the lineman?
It was like Overthal, LT Overthal or something, the former five-star. He's really good. Ole Miss, man, they killed it. Walter Nolan, that's the kid everybody wanted right there.
I thought Alabama was going to get him actually.
I think we have too many guys coming back. Many guys coming back that play that center D tackle position that can either play in that 3-4 or 4-3 scheme. I think we just got too many guys coming back for that. We needed somebody more on the edge to replace Dallas Turner. That's a much bigger necessity that we needed than D tackle. But Walter Nolan would have been great.
Yeah, Lane Kiffler is doing a great job there. As we go into the second game, Texas versus Washington. Very interesting game. I might have to lean towards Texas. I think they're a little more well balanced than Washington, maybe. But I don't think Washington's defense can stop Texas' offense. I think it's going to come down to that. I think Texas has a better defense than Washington. But Washington does have Michael Penix and those trio of wide receivers who are dangerous, though. So, what do you see for this game, Ben, coming up? Washington versus Texas.
That's what you just said. What you said last is the biggest factor of this entire game. They got the trio back. Going into the year, not many of us knew exactly who Jalen Polk was. And then McMillan went down. Rome Odunze continued to be the star that he is. And then came in Jalen Polk. And there was a couple games Jalen Polk was outshining Odunze. And then now McMillan's back. I mean, come on, dude. McMillan, going into the year, people were talking about who was better, him or Rome. And so now you got three guys who have all solidified themselves with Michael Penix. They've all had success with Michael Penix. Danny Johnson, I mean, he continues to surprise you from game to game. Early on in the season, Washington did not run the ball. And then
he ran it well in the championship game.
Yeah, he did run it well in the championship game. I'm trying to think of the game where he won the game off his back. He had 200 plus yards and 4 touchdowns. I forget what game it was. But yeah, Danny Johnson, if he can have a good game against Texas, I think that's really going to open everything up for Michael Penix. Because Texas is going to send the house, man. They're going to send the house against Michael Penix. They know, he's mobile, but he's not the best. that's an area of concern. When you get pressure into his face, that's when Michael Penix can sometimes, go back into his Indiana days and make a couple bad decisions. But they have the offense to beat Texas. Like this Texas team, they're a good defense. They were top 15 pretty much all year. But they gave up points from time to time.
They did. They did.
Definitely lose to this Washington team. They can lose to this Washington team, but Washington if they can play turnover-free football, I think they'll be fine.
It's going to be a tough game. It's going to come down to the end, and I agree with you about Romy for Washington. After Marvin Harrison, I think he's the best receiver in the country. I really do believe that, and because he has a trio.
It's a trio of him and Malik Neighbors and Rome. I think all three of them are right there.
Oh yeah. I think so too. Because I watched this kid Roney all year, man, and he has the size, the speed. He makes unbelievable catches. And like you said about Jalen Polk, he's a great player too. I'm going to look and see if he's actually related to me, since that's my last name too. So I definitely got to see that, if he was related to me, see we're cousins or something. But yeah, I watched him too. He's a good one. I agree about Michael Penix. We've seen him have one or two bad games this year. Like remember the Arizona game? He plays in Arizona. They're not going to beat Texas. But we also see Michael Penix versus Oregon too, where he had a great game. That Michael Penix right there, if he shows up to that way, they're good. They have a very, very, very good shot at winning this game. I also want to see the pressure that Washington's front line puts on Ewers as well. I want to see that. So in Texas, they could run the ball. I know they lost the kid. Who's the kid? I know they got the running back there, that a freshman, Baxter. He's a good running back.
They lost Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, Brooks was a monster, man. He was on his way to having a real big year. Yeah, that was a huge loss. But Baxter is an adequate replacement. I like the kid Worthy at wide receiver. He's a playmaker. I like their tight end, and I like their defense. Their defense is pretty good. But like you said, they could be scored upon though. So we're definitely going to see, who actually is going to. How can I say this? Who actually plays the game of checkers the right way? I'll put it to you that way. Who's going to take over this game? Well, what do you see for this game?
I think both of you made great points about, the dynamics of the matchup. But I feel like if I had to predict something, I think it's more likely that Washington's offense plays to the level that we know that they can, than Texas stops them. Because, like you said, they've been in, some straight up shootouts like this season, some really high scoring games. And, they played obviously some worthy competition, but, did they play Michael Penix Jr.? You know what I mean? Like that guy, when he has time to make the read, is pretty much as good as anybody that's throwing the ball this season, and the fact that, I feel like he himself is good, but like you said, he's got three, guys that's going to be playing, in that 3-letter league, here shortly, that can really make big plays. I think that's going to be hard to stop because, you can't scheme against any one of them the way that you would like to, if they were the only option, for the offense. But I do agree, as far as the points for Texas, it's hard to stop balance. It's very hard to scheme against balance. They can run it, more competently, obviously, than Washington can. They can throw it and make some plays. Honestly, I think I can't necessarily predict, a winner, but I think this game is probably going to be a little higher scoring than some people may think, and I think it's going to come down to who's able to get, that last 1 to 2 stops,
Right. It's going to be I expect it to be a high scoring game. I really do. Like, I agree. I can't predict the score of that game, and I really can't predict the score of the Michigan Alabama game. This could go either way with Michigan and Alabama. It could go either way.
I think the Michigan Alabama one's easier. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, like Michigan and Alabama, they're both going to play defense. At the end of the day, Michigan and Alabama are going to bring defense. So I feel like I would take under Michigan Alabama over Texas Washington. I would just take that game all day long.
Me too. I think Michigan and Alabama is going to be like in the 20s. I'll put it to you that way. In both teams could probably score the 20s. But like I said, though, Michigan is going to have to get off to a good start. They're going, and you know, I'm gonna be honest with you. When they announced the college teams and stuff who they were playing, the kids from Michigan really looked. They were like, oh, like we got to play Alabama, and that's one thing I didn't like. I didn't like that. It's like, okay, you know what? They're bringing Alabama to us. We're going to be ready for them. We're going to take it to them. And you know what I mean? It wasn't like that. It was like, oh, okay, we play at Alabama. I didn't like that body language like that. But hopefully they'll get them up.
Like the one kid, you even saw like the one kid in like one of the videos like stand up like, fuck.
Yeah. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, yo, it's like, come on. They put on the same cleats, the same pants, the same jersey uniform as you do. It's because they have Alabama on you. Go out there, let's kick some ass. And that's what Michigan's going to have to go there to do on Monday. They'll have to run the football right at them for them to win this game. And McCarthy's going to make some play in that play action. They're going to have to that Michigan does. So, like you said, man, I expect both games to be very good games. And Ben, you know, you have to come on with us next week, man, because you know we have to talk the national championship game that we'll know about this time next Thursday. We'll know who's going to be playing.
I mean, if Alabama loses, I might have to go into hibernation for a week.
But you know what?
I'll stand my ground. I stand my ground.
But you know what, though? I'm gonna tell you something, though, man. Regardless, even if they do lose, Alabama next year is going to be preseason number one. There is no doubt about that. Nick Saban with that recruitment class he brought in, and like you said, like we were talking before the show, Ryan Williams, the wide receiver that he brought in, man, and with the receivers that they have back, and Milrose back, and the defense is basically back, man. They got to replace Kool-Aid McCaskey, and I know they got to replace him at the quarter, but man, they got everything.
We'll have to replace our DBs for the most part.
Yeah,
obviously,
McCaskey,
Moore, Kool-Aid, Terrion Arnold, Dallas Turner, but outside of that, pretty much everyone else comes back. And the main thing with this team is a lot of them are just sophomores.
That's crazy.
These guys are just sophomores. They're just young. I mean, I became an Alabama fan in like 2006, 2007. I've never seen this many freshmen start on an Alabama team. I mean, and they're starting in major roles. I mean, our lead overhead safety, Caleb Downs, is a true freshman.
Monster.
In the SEC championship game, Nick Saban said, "Hey, Georgia likes to run the ball. We're going to put you down in the box." And he played down in the box seamlessly, like he had done it for 10 years. Like Caleb Downs is a true professional, and the kid's only a freshman. To see what his growth is going to be in the next 2 years in college before making
it's going to be amazing.
He could potentially be the best safety under Nick Saban ever. That's up there with Minka Fitzpatrick and Eddie Jackson and all them, and Marlon Humphrey. Like, the kid is special.
He is.
As a safety, he had 100 tackles. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, man.
Our left tackle is Caden Proctor, another true freshman. Left tackle is the biggest, most important position on the entire line, and a freshman is playing it. It's crazy to see. I've never seen this.
I tell you what, Nick Saban, no doubt, is the GOAT coach. There's no doubt in college football. I mean, 7 and speaking of which, I have to say this. Paul Feinbaum, I heard him one day when they were talking about his legacy, he had the nerve to say, "Oh, Nick Saban's legacy is going to take a hit if Alabama doesn't make the college football playoffs." What? What? This man won 7 national championships. He's won 6 national championships in the last 15 years. What are you talking about? And, you know, in my lifetime, he's the greatest coach. I know we've had great coaches like Bear Bryant, Eddie Robinson, Jack Gaithers at Florida A&M. I know we've had it historically, but Nick Saban made you basically forget about Bear Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
Bear Bryant used to be the standard of college coaches as far as winning national championships and stuff. Nick Saban came in there and basically made you forget about Bear Bryant.
If the stadium wasn't named after him, people would forget.
Yeah. I mean, and if you don't think Nick Saban is not going to win any more national championships, then I don't know what to say, because the man is going to win 1 or 2 more before he retires, maybe even 3 more before he retires. He might end up with 10 national championships.
Yeah, I would love it, man. But I think the question is, like, who's his predecessor? Who takes over for him? Like, who? And like, because I'm also a Duke fan, so I just experienced this type of GOAT transition. Like, who's the John Shire to Coach K? Like,
and John Shire is doing a good job.
He is. He's doing a good job.
John Shire is doing a good job. And you know, me and Will, we talked about that. We talked about that last week, and you know, Cooper Flagg coming in next year, that recruitment class, and they might get the kid from Long Island Lutheran, VJ. They might get him too. So there's a chance. He's down to 3 schools now: Baylor, Kentucky, and Duke. So they might get him. But yeah, Duke made a smooth transition to from Coach K to Schreier. Like you said, for Nick Saban now, what's Nick? Nick is what, 70, 71 now?
Yeah, right around.
So there. you figure he might have another. Gosh, Nick Saban, he looks like he's in good shape too. He might have another 7 to 8 years of coaching at least, maybe even till he's 80. Who knows? He might have another 9 to 10 years.
That's what I think, because he signed an 8-year extension like a year ago. So that would put him, you know, 77, 78, right around retire, which would be his next contract extension.
And as we talked pre-show, I agree with you. This kid Bryce Underwood, I've seen film of him. He looks like he's the next big thing in college football as far as, like, you know, being a quarterback. He does it all. He can run, he can throw, he has size, he has an arm that's out of this world. And man, that would be crazy though if Michigan loses this game. And it looks like he might be going to LSU, as you said, but Nick Saban somehow forces him to come to Alabama. That would be like just like, oh man. I mean, how much more can you take? But yeah, that kid Bryce Underwood is going to be special too, though. Well, what do you feel about Nick Saban and his legacy, and how much longer do you see him at Alabama?
No, I think the legacy, you can't question it. Like, you know, I think the Paul Feinbaum stuff is clickbait. You know, that's what a lot of the media personalities love to do now. You know, we've seen it in the NBA with, you know, Coach Popovich, you know, and some of the other Hall of Fame players and coaches in like college basketball, Cal, you know, Coach K, if there's a down year. And it's foolish, you know. You judge them by what they've done to date and the total body of work. And, you know, when you talk total bodies of work, you know, who's outdone Saban? You know what I mean? Like, just being honest. I mean, you know, he was already a great coach before he ever touched, you know, Alabama's campus. And what he's done since, you know, taking over for the Tide, you know, is the standard, like you said now. You know, it's only a matter of time, you know, before his statue's there, you know. He's definitely the guy. And I want to also give him credit too, as great as he is, for adapting, you know, realizing that, you know, sometimes it's better to go in the transfer portal and get a player, you know, and sometimes it's better, you know, for that super talented, you know, freshman or sophomore to step into that role, you know. I feel like coaches with that type of resume typically don't adjust. And Saban has shown that, time and time again, he can retool, whether it's the staff, the roster, whatever needs to be done to continue to win.
Right. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, man. And like as far as Jim Harbaugh, what's going to happen at the end of the season? Is he coming back to Michigan? Which they said Michigan is ready to offer him a haul for him to come back. I think it's like $120 million over 8 years, I think. Or is he going to go to the NFL?
It was like 8 or 10 years was the contract.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
Or is he going to go to the NFL? Or is he going to go to the NFL? We don't know what Harbaugh is going to do. I tell you what, I would like to see him stay at Michigan because I really think he's brought this team back from being an afterthought to being Michigan again. Does he need a national championship? Oh yeah, he does. He definitely needs a national championship. But they are consistently major players, and I think if he gets a national championship, I really think this will help it will help Michigan as far as the recruiting goes. Because look, Michigan gets a couple 5-star recruits, but you go up and down that roster they have, a lot of these kids were 4-star players. They don't get the elite players the way Alabama's gotten them. Even in their own conference, Ohio State. Look at all the 5-star players Ohio State gets. And for the past couple years, blue chip after blue chip after blue chip after blue chip. Michigan's beaten them 3 straight years. Harbaugh is a great coach. He really is a great coach. I know for a while people were down on him, and I've been questioning him for a minute too. Like, when are we going to beat Ohio State? When is Michigan going to come back? But you can never doubt the man. The man just builds programs. You saw what he did with Stanford. You saw what he did with the 49ers. And now he's doing with Michigan. So, I would like to see him stay. But if he goes away, I like the assistant coach that they had that took over for him. I think that would be a smooth transition to him being the head coach at Michigan. I think Coach Moore. I really do believe that would be a smooth transition. I think that they need to keep somebody in-house. And recruiting is going to be a big part of it, man. But we'll see what Harbaugh do, man, because once again, the NCAA, which you know how I feel about the NCAA, man. They're coming after Michigan with stuff that he had nothing to do with, like the sign signals and all this type of crap and stuff. Like nobody else doesn't do that. Everybody does that. But, we'll see what happens, though. Also, we have to talk about the coaches in the next game, Washington and Texas. The coach of Washington, Kalen DeBoer, he's done a great job at Washington, man. Will it be sustainable in the Big Ten next year when they go to the Big Ten? We'll see. But I agree. I think every now and then he'll have a great year because it's Washington. Who wants to go to Washington? We could go to USC or UCLA, and then you have the blue bloods, like Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State and stuff. But he's done a great job at the University of Washington, man. And we'll see what happens. What were you saying, Ben? You were nodding your head. What's up, man? What were you going to say?
No, I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're going to be good next year, or at least next year. Maybe a year or two down the road, after they build themselves back up again in the Big Ten, playing different competition. Maybe they're able to find themselves, but they struggle to recruit. Like I believe they're not even a top 30 school right now this year for recruitment. And I get it that they got Will Rogers, but you also lost. You're going to lose your 3 primary receivers this year. You're going to lose Danny Johnson, and then you just lost your true freshman wide receiver to the portal, who is potentially going to be Will Rogers' best wide receiver next year. So you lost 4 wide receivers in 1 year.
Right.
A lot of their defense was older. There was a lot of seniors, a lot of fifth-year seniors. A lot of them are going to the pros. They're going to go on and do whatever they want with their careers. I think it's going to take Washington like two, maybe 3 years to build themselves back up again. But they're going to have to recruit better. Have to recruit way better.
You're going to have to. You're in the Big Ten. You're going to have to recruit now because not only you're going against USC and UCLA, but you're also going to have to go against Michigan, Ohio State,
Iowa,
Penn State, and I'm going to tell you another team you better look out for, Nebraska. You better look out for Nebraska in about another 2 years.
I'm not worried about Nebraska.
That was the quarterback that they have is number one quarterback. That they just flipped from Georgia.
He's the number 3 quarterback.
He's number 3 quarterback.
DJ Lagway is above him on 1-3, and then Julian Sayin is above him on ESPN. So he's technically 3. 2 sites compared two quarterbacks above him. I would say he's 3. I'm not sold on him. I'm not sold on him. I don't like a kid who bounces around from school to school to school. Like,
he went to what?
Yep, you got my commitment. Yep, you got my commitment. Like, he was telling every school he was going to go to their school.
And high schools too. In high schools too, he went to like 3 different high schools. But I think he's committed now. Yeah, but I think he's committed now to going to Nebraska because his uncle's the offensive line coach and his dad played in Nebraska too. So, and Matt Rule is a great college coach. He's a great college coach. So we'll see what he can do at Nebraska. Will, how do you feel about Washington's future going forward?
I mean, I think they're losing too much, I can't project out, let's say 5 years, but in the short term, they're going to definitely get thrown around in that new conference. They already don't recruit too well. And then, when you look at the schools that's coming over with them, on top of the schools that's already running, the conference, it's too much money, thrown around. I don't see it, man.
Yeah. Also, we got to talk about University of Texas, of course. Steve Sarkisian, man, he's done a great job since he's been there, man. That year of him working under a couple of years, I think it was a year. Him working under Nick Saban really, did wonders for him. He's a great coach. Texas is going to be a major player for a while because you have a lot of talent in the state of Texas. And also, you got to remember that alumni has that long money, that long oil money, man, that you're playing with. They should be contenders for the foreseeable future, man. And Texas, look, let me tell you something. I don't know if you've ever been to Texas or not, but I've been to Texas. They have their high schools, some of them stadiums down there, 50 to 60, 70,000. It's like 60, 70,000 people for a high school game, football game. It's like, man. One of my friends, he went down there for the Cowboys-Eagles games. But while they were down there, though, he went to high school football game. 60,000 people. He said we're at Jerry's World. 60,000 people at a high school football game. That's crazy. And he saw Duncanville, and he's just like, man, just the speed and the size of these kids. He said is crazy. And DeSoto, they have a lineman right now. I think he's either a sophomore. I think is he a sophomore? He might be a sophomore. The kid is 6'9", 370 pounds. But he can move though. He can move. It's like the talent down in Texas is amazing. So with the talent they have in Texas, they should keep this up. Now I know they lost a couple 5-star recruits out of Texas, going to other places. Ben, help me out here. The kid from Duncanville, the wide receiver, is a junior. I forget the kid's name. Yeah. He's a junior. I'm about to look him up right now. He went to Duncanville. He's a wide receiver. He's only a junior, but he's
DeCorian Moore.
Yeah, that's the kid.
Going to LSU.
He's going to LSU. And they're also the running back that they have at Duncanville. He's going to LSU too. And one of my friends was down there in Texas. He told me when they had the state championship games, he told me the running back at Duncanville to score to LSU, he had 220 yards at the half in the state championship game. And they won the state championship game. I think it was what was it, like 50 something to 50 something to like 10 or something like that. And Duncanville is a top 10 team in the country. They lost to this team, DeSoto, who's undefeated, top 2 or 3. They're one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country. I'm trying. My mind's drawing my mind is going off tonight. Von Miller actually went to DeSoto, but DeSoto won their championship game 74-17. So you know, I mean, it's major talent down in the state of Texas where Texas should be a major player every year from here on in. What do y'all feel about that? About Texas being a major player?
I feel like the 2 major schools in Texas and Texas A&M, should be major programs. I mean, we want to talk about oil money at Texas. There's more oil money at Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
And not only is there oil money at Texas A&M has the richest alumni of any university in the United States. They have the most CEOs of top Fortune 500 companies. Texas A&M is spewing with money. Like, they might be the only business, whatever organization that might have more money than Apple. Like, Texas A&M is just flowing in money. It flows in gold. It flows in oil. It flows in green. It flows in so many ways in Texas A&M. But for Texas has a bigger brand. So I think Texas is ultimately always going to be bigger than Texas A&M. They'll always be big brother to Texas A&M. You know, they have the Heisman winners. They have championships within their Hall of Fames. You know, they have prestigious players that have played within the NFL. Their coaching is usually always a step above. Sarkisian, in my eyes, is a better coach than the guy they got coming in, Mike Elko. I think Mike Elko is phenomenal, what he did at Duke in his 2-year tenure. But I would take Steve Sarkisian over him every single day. And what he's done recruiting, one of the biggest things you want to do when it comes to recruiting is find your quarterback. And he's done it. He did it in the transfer portal with getting Quinn Ewers from Ohio State. Before he even got Quinn Ewers, he had Malik Murphy on campus, who was a top quarterback in his class coming out of high school. And then he went and got
tell you something.
Manning.
Hey, Arch, I'm going to tell you something, though. I think Malik Murphy going to Duke. I think Malik Murphy is going to be a top 10 pick, in the NFL, because he has it all. He has the size, he has the speed, he has the arm. I really think this kid is going to be a great pro. Well, he's going to have a great year at Duke next year, but he has everything. But like you said,
he has 3 years eligibility. He has 3 years eligibility.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's only a sophomore, so redshirt sophomore, I think. Yeah, but Arch Manning, he's definitely waiting his turn, man. Arch Manning is the next big thing at the University of Texas. I'm gonna tell you something. I've been to University of Texas 2 times. I went down there for the Texas relays. I'm a track and field junkie. I love track and field, and I'm gonna tell you something, man. The city of Austin, first of all, is a beautiful city. It's one of the cleanest cities that I've ever been in my life, and it's a real nice city. But I'm gonna tell you something. I can see why Texas gets the recruits that they get, because the facilities, the atmosphere, everything down at the University of Texas, man, is amazing. I couldn't believe it. They even have their own zip code. University of Texas does. That's how big the campus is. It's a beautiful campus. The football stadium is amazing. It's ginormous. The locker rooms man, I mean, gosh, I mean, what can you say? I can see why these recruits go there. I can see why. And I'm surprised more recruits nationally haven't gone there. I'm talking about even from the Northeast or down there, because if I was a recruit, I look at the University of Texas and the campus and everything, I'm like, man, I think I would really consider going to the University of Texas, because the facilities and everything is amazing. I mean, it's jaw dropping. It's amazing. So, Will, how do you feel? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Ben.
Like you were saying, though, there's so much talent in the state of Texas. Like, maybe there's just not enough room. Like you were saying, if they could just recruit within the state, like, why even look at a kid to bring them in all the way from the Northeast? Because that's one more thing you got to put that kid under. Like, now you took them 2,000 miles away from home or 1,500 miles away from home. I'd much rather have the kid that's 400 or 500 miles away from home, still within the state of Texas, and his family can take a easily cheap flight to come see him, or maybe just take, a family trip and come see their kid come play, rather than have to sit on an airplane for 3-4 hours and it was $400 or $500 a piece.
All you got to do is recruit the cities of Dallas and Houston. And that's where most of your talent's going to come from. Dallas and Houston. They have some great athletes in Texas. How do you feel about the University of Texas, Will?
I agree. I mean, they're a wealthy program, as far as like money, but also just the local talent that they can recruit, and I feel like this season has shown that, they have a competent coach, and they're going to be here, for a while. And I think that matters when you talk recruiting, for sure, and what they did on the field, plus those, those alums, and the alumni base, and, the deep pockets of those boosters, you're definitely going to see the Longhorns, have some great years moving forward.
Right. I agree, man. I agree. Let's segue into another topic here, fellas. I guess this might be our final topic of the day right here. City of Palms Classic high school basketball tournament just concluded last weekend, and we saw a lot of great high school basketball talent. We saw Link Academy versus Long Island Lutheran, and we saw Montverde versus Paul VI. Let's give a recap of what we saw last week. First off, we got to start this juggernaut called Montverde Academy, man. And like I said last week, this is going to be one of the greatest high school basketball teams I think that we've seen. They have it all. They have it all. And it really starts and begins with the number one player in high school basketball, Cooper Flagg. Speak on it. Whoever wants to take this first.
I'll jump in. Cooper Flagg, the talent is obvious, but I think the biggest thing on him is just his mentality. Like, he plays the game with like a FU mentality, as far as his approach to his opponent, and in an era of social media, doing dances for TikTok, hanging out, with your opponent before the game, all of that. I feel like Cooper's a throwback, and it doesn't hurt that, to me, as far as, a pro comparison, he's got a lot of, Andre Kirilenko to his game. The way he can protect the rim, attack the basket, and do some of everything. I mean, he makes winning plays and tangible plays. He'll dive for a loose ball. He'll do whatever his team needs. And that mean streak translates to his team. I think that's part of what makes, this particular Montverde team so special.
Right. Ben, how do you feel about Cooper Flagg and Montverde?
Well, like I said earlier in the show, being a Duke fan, obviously I'm elated to have Cooper Flagg be donning a Duke basketball jersey next season, especially a year earlier than expected. The class is super talented. There's a chance to play with some very good returning players, from this current squad, possibly Caleb, possibly Jared, possibly a Mark Mitchell. Obviously, TJ Power and all them will probably be back. Christian Reeves. I'm super excited. I think the most excited thing I'm ready to see him do on a Duke team is, like Will said, he's a two-way player. I love defense. Like, whenever I played sports, regardless of the sport, I wanted to make sure I was good at defense at least. Like, if I couldn't give you a bucket, I was going to lock down their best offensive player, or at least try my best. Playing football, I played on the defensive side of the ball. I flourished on the defensive side of the ball. So to see a defensive guy who loves defense, who can, like Will said, protect the rim, can guard you at the top of the perimeter and strip you and then take it in transition and score at the rim. I love the aggression that he plays with, the energy he plays with. I hope it's something, like Will was saying, translates to his teammates at the college level. Sometimes guys at the college level can kind of get into themselves and, maybe not play off their teammates so much and only play within themselves. But I'm happy to have Cooper Flagg, man. And like, I'm just happy to have the guys that he's coming in with as well, like possibly DJ. Was it Patrick and Jungba, the big man? Big fan of him. Darren Harris has been going crazy this year. I'm excited to see what Darren Harris can do in college. But yeah, one thing I'm shocked though is I am shocked, and maybe you guys got better insight to this. Why do y'all think he went from 2025 to 2024?
I think. Let me take this first, Will.
Yeah, go ahead, JP.
I think he went from 2025 to 2024 because after this summer, it's like he's going to be coasting through his senior year. I think that's one of the reasons why that he actually went, because he had one of the best summers we've ever seen on the AAU circuit. Maybe even the best summer we've seen on the AAU circuit in 2023. I mean, he just dominated. I remember I saw Cooper Flagg. I heard about him his freshman year when he was in Maine, and I saw the highlights of him. He looked very impressive. But I saw him at Montverde last year as a sophomore. It was like, okay, this kid's the real deal. I'm gonna tell you, it's like I said last week. He's one of the best shot blockers I've seen, and he's a small forward. That's the thing about it. He's a small forward. The only thing I would say he needs to work on a little bit is his jump shot. But once that shot goes, Cooper Flagg is he's going to be damn near unstoppable. When he's at the next, when he goes eventually to the NBA. I mean, he can play easy 4 positions for you. He can play the power forward. He could be a shooting guard. He could be a small forward, and he could probably be a point guard. His passing ability is what's underrated in this game too. He's a phenomenal passer. But I really do think he really reclassified, because it's like, I have nothing left to prove. I've proven myself to be the best player in the country. I dominated the AAU circuit. Let's just accelerate this process of me going to Duke next year, and then I'll be the #1 pick in the draft in 2025. Go ahead, Will.
No, I agree. I think he nailed it, JP. He didn't stand to gain anything. To be honest, the only thing he could have done was, and it sounds crazy, but lower his stock. Let's say he comes in next year, he's not engaged or whatever. Then, okay, now maybe he's not the #1 player. He's the #5 player in the country, hypothetically. And there are certain players that, once, like you said, JP, once you have that type of summer, your stock is as high at that level as it's going to be. I mean, they're already discussing him and having him on mock drafts. Take that with a grain of salt, but having him on mock drafts is #1 pick. So with that, I think the only thing to do is, and play at the next level. I mean, he's already playing that closest thing to the college level playing, against those guys. So, why not go, make that jump, make a jump in your NIL things, and then fast track yourself to the league. And the other thing it does too is a little more separation.
Oh, excuse me, Will. It's like you're breaking up a little bit, brother.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
And the other thing it does too is put a little more separation officially between him and Cam Boozer. Now, with them being in two totally separate classes, they're essentially not competing against each other anymore.
Yeah, because I tell you, if him and Cam Boozer both went to Duke, man, you talking about with the other twin brother and who knows who else, you definitely talking about definitely one of the greatest. I mean, this is a great recruiting class as it is, but this would be the historic recruiting class for Duke with him and Cam Boozer if they came in the same class, 2025, which, like you said, Cooper reclassified. Let's talk about some other players on the Montverde team, because it's not only Cooper Flag, but they also have this kid Derek Queen, man, who's a load in the middle. They have a small forward named Liam that's going to Indiana to shoot the lights out. Curtis Givens is their 2-guard, top 50 player in the country, and they also have point guard from Philly, Robert Wright. To speak on the supporting cast that Montverde has, it's not only the Cooper Flag show, because Cooper Flag, he could put up numbers, but with the other players he has, it's more of a balanced scored attack. Let's talk about the supporting cast that he has at Montverde. Who wants to go first on this?
I mean, when you look at this supporting cast, like you said, everybody you named is high major D1 player. You got Baylor, you got possibly University of Maryland, a few other schools in the mix for Derek Queen. Philly with Indiana with their rejuvenated energy, having Mike Woodson there, and then Rob, going to Baylor. So you got some high level programs, high level players, and the thing that I like about all of those guys is even including Cooper, game to game, outside of the fact that they're going to compete, you don't know what you're going to get, but I mean that in a good way. It's not like, okay, this guy's going to get 30 shots and whoever has the matchup, they give them the ball and work. Like we saw Derek Queen lose City of Palm. Wright showed the point guard. Neely, really good shooter. Also, plays some good perimeter defense as well, and is a good secondary playmaker. And given he just seamlessly well.
Yeah. Ben, how do you feel about this Montverde team, this Montverde Express, as I like to call them, that is just steamrolling over everybody, it seems like?
The guys I'm most familiar with are pretty much the big names that you mentioned: Leo McNeely, obviously Cooper Flag, and Derek Queen. Derek Queen, I've liked Derek Queen. He's a bigger guy when it comes to like physicality, but he's a little bit shorter in height. Kind of like one of those like Ben Wallace type builds when it comes. And the reason I like him is because he's a proven guy. He's I think when he came on the scene for me, when I saw him last year come on the scene, was, he took over for Sean Stewart. Sean Stewart was maybe a tad bit better than him offensively, obviously more athletic, moved around a lot better than him, was a class higher than him, but yet Derek Queen was the more dominant player on the court. And I thought that was cool to see him do. Whenever you see a younger guy take the spot of an older player, and especially in high school, I'm sure some of y'all know, when you took, like, if you were a junior and you took that senior spot and that senior was starting, oh, bro, that made you feel proud. Like I'm younger than this guy, but I'm better than him type stuff. So I like that. I like to see Derek Queen, assert himself as a younger guy and not be afraid of older players around him, but still be willing to play within the system. Not take it too far out of context, but still be willing to play within the system. Not let his ego get the best of him or anything like that. And then, like you mentioned, Leo McNeely, sniper. I leave him open. Sniper. Any means, you cannot give him an edge. If you get that that man an inch, he is taking it, and he's probably going to shoot in the face. Like, Liam McNeely he's got a clip on him for sure. Like, he was originally supposed to go to Gonzaga, right? And he decided to go to Indiana. Like, Gonzaga is losing a very good player.
Oh, yeah. Top 15 player in the country. And we also can't forget about Asa Newell as well, man. We can't, golly, man. I mean, look at what we named. We talk about Cooper Flagg, Rob Wright, Curtis Givens, McNeely, and also Derek Queen and Asa Newell. That's six players right there, man. 6 players right there who, damn, I'm trying to think. They're going to have at least 4 McDonald's All-Americans. At least 4.
Do you guys think it's the best team ever, though, from Montverde?
Recent era, yeah. In my opinion, the best high school team ever assembled was Dunbar back in the early 80s when you had 4 NBA players. You had Muggsy Bogues, you had Reggie Lewis, you had David Wingate and Reggie Williams, and you had a bench that was probably a top 20 team in the country as well. And Reggie Lewis, he was probably the best pro on that team, and I think he might have been a Hall of Famer when his career was done. But he was the 8th man coming off the bench. The thing was, they didn't have the size as they did as this Montverde team is. Their tallest players might have been like 6'7", 6'8", which is a kid named Tim Dawson was their center. But they were athletic and they were. I think the difference in them was, I think Muggsy Bogues was probably the best pure high school point guard in high school history. I'm talking about as far as running the show. At 5'3". I don't like to do errors, but I would say Dunbar was probably the best high school team ever assembled. But when this is all said and done, I think this team right here might be better than the Montverde team in 2020.
Is that Scotty Barnes,
Cade Cunningham, Moody? Yeah, Caleb Houston, Moody.
Yeah, that team was really good. That was the team I was going to say. Like, I think that's the greatest Montverde team ever.
I think this team right here might be even better than them. But the difference was that team blew everybody up by like 40 points, though. That's the difference with that team. Maybe it would be a hell of a game if this Montverde team played that Montverde team from 2020. Because Cooper Flagg versus Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham was a special player. He was a special player.
Even that D'Lo Ben Simmons team, they were blowing everybody out as well.
They were good. I'm gonna throw you another team out here, recent memory that was good too, that people forget about. Chino Hills. They could play with anybody too. With the ball.
Konglu, Lamar,
yeah, and the Ball brothers. I mean, you had 4. Well, the other brother was he played in the NBA for a cup of tea. But you had 4 NBA players on that team, and you had about 6, 7 D1 players, and the pace they played at. Yeah, remember they averaged like almost 100 points a game. And Lonzo Ball, he was a great point guard in high school. 6'7", could pass, could shoot. It would be some. Those are the 3 best teams I think I've seen in the last 10 years or so, 10, 12 years. I mean, there's been I've seen so many great high school teams. I can remember the St. Anthony's team from '89 with Bobby Hurley, Terry DeHare, Roderick Rose. They all went pro. They were a great team. Of course, you can't forget, like I said, Camden has some great teams with 86 team with Starford, Lou Banks, and Denny Brown and them. That was a great team. The Camden 81 team with Milt Wagner, Billy Thompson, Kevin Walls. That they were historically great. You got to say Simon Gratz, Rasheed Wallace's team. They were a very good. They were a great team. I mean, it's been some legendary teams, but I think this Montverde team is right up there with some of the greatest teams we've seen though. If they run the table, even if they have one loss still, but this team right here, man, it's just one of those teams you see every now and then. It's just like, wow, and it's doing their beating teams too. I mean, Long Island Lutheran's a top 3 or 4 team in the country. They beat them by like 15. So yeah, I would definitely say they're going to be an all-time great team.
I would say you guys name great teams. Another one to think about is Kevin Durant's 1 year at Woodfield Academy. I don't know that they had the same number of NBA players, high impact college guys, and everything like Eric Evendorf up in Syracuse. And, I can't remember his name. Dustin McCord. That was at Mississippi State. They had go back and look. They had a team. And I think Ty Lawson might be there, but that team. And then of course that team Kyrie. Pretty damn good.
Repeat that. Well, I couldn't hear you in the last part.
Oh, I said, and of course, some Jersey bias that St. Pat's team with Kyrie and MKG as well.
Oh yeah, Kyrie. They had the kid Gordon, Michael Kidd Gilchrist, and them. Oh yeah, that was a great team. Oh, definitely. And St. Anthony's had a great team that year too. And that year too, they had some great teams with man, what's the kid? Kyle Anderson and that crew in 2000. Was that 2011, 2012? They had a legendary, that was a great. That was a legendary team too. There's been a lot of legendary high school teams, man. But yeah, man, this Montverde team is it's going down in history, man. Some people might like you said though, Ben and Will. Some people might even say this team might be the best high school team ever assembled. You know, the talent wise, I mean, they got Cooper Flash brother coming off the bench. You barely get any bird. He's a major D1 player. I mean, what can you say? What can you say about this team, man? But all right, fellas, I think we should wrap this one up.
Hey, JP,
yes, sir.
Hey Ben, can you just give us your thoughts on Lamar Jackson MVP candidacy?
Oh, forgot about that. Yes.
What was the second part? I heard Lamar Jackson MVP.
Yeah, can you give us your thoughts on if he's the MVP?
Yeah, I thought for a while it was between him, Dak, and Brock Purdy. I think he had always separated himself from Dak. I haven't believed in the Cowboys at all this year. They haven't necessarily beat anybody outside of the one Eagles game. But I mean, they split that series at the end of the day. So it comes down to Brock Purdy and Lamar Jackson. Well, just saw what the Ravens just did to the 49ers. We saw one quarterback throw 4 interceptions. We saw one quarterback have one of his better games this year. Lamar Jackson, I mean, pretty much since he came into the NFL, it's been the greatest show in the NFL. He might not be, the best player in the NFL, but he's the best show to watch. If you were to ask for a ticket to go to an NFL game, the one ticket you should ask for is to go see Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. I mean, the crowd's electric. They feed off one another. And then what Lamar does on a football field, you think he's down and the play is over and you took a 12-yard loss. And the next thing you know, he's running 35, 40 yards upfield for a touchdown. Or he escapes and finds a receiver on the opposite side of the field and he throws a flick of the wrist 55-yarder. I mean, he's spectacular to watch. I mean, it's been crazy to see, his growth as a player, as a quarterback. Is he the best pure passer of football? No, not by any metric. But he does it enough, and he does it well enough to be called a quarterback. I think Lamar deserves another MVP. I think, and it's crazy that it could potentially take 2 MVPs for people to finally take Lamar Jackson seriously. Right? People keep saying, okay, you got the MVP, where are the playoff wins? You could say where are the playoff wins for a plethora of quarterbacks. But why are you only holding it against one guy? And so Lamar, if he wins his MVP, regardless of what his playoff record is, he's the best player in the NFL. It's clear-cut day. Outside of injuries, knick-knack injuries from here and there, he's been the most consistent quarterback aside from Pat Mahomes in the NFL. He's been more consistent than Josh Allen. He's been more consistent than Dak Prescott. He's been healthier and more consistent than Joe Burrow. Like, I think it's time to give Lamar gets the credit that he deserved. He's a top 5 quarterback. He is a quarterback for one. And the guy is the greatest player in the NFL. On either side.
Yeah. I agree with you, man. Lamar Jackson is exciting. But I do have to say this, though. We talk about the Cowboys. I love it. And, you know, my brother is a diehard Cowboys fan. One of my best friends is a Cowboy. In fact, four of my best friends are Cowboys fans and stuff. But like I always tell them, it's like Stephen A. Smith, like he says, they always set you up. Then between Christmas and MLK Day, the season's over. It always seems that way for the Cowboys. They always get amped up every time. Oh, we're going to the Super Bowl. Oh, we're doing this. And then what happens? The fall begins. They're just not a consistent football team. The talent, I think one of the problems is they can't run the football consistently. I think getting rid of Zeke, I think that's a problem. I think he could have been good in short yardage situations or getting a first down or a touchdown. I think that's a problem. I have a big back with that. You know, I think that's where the problem is. Of course, they had a couple injuries, you know, but you know, this is the time of year where the Cowboys are going to Cowboy this time of year, though, man. But you talk about Lamar Jackson, though, man. I mean, like you said, he's the greatest show that you want to see in the NFL. Let me ask you all this question: Who do you think is more exciting, him or Michael Vick?
I'm a Virginia guy. I was born in Virginia, so I gotta say Mike Vick. I will represent Mike Vick and show Mike Vick all the love and credit that man deserves until the day I die. You know, it's very unfortunate the situation that he was caught up in. But Mike Vick, man, that man brought something to the game of football that I don't even think we thought was humanly possible. Like,
he did.
His speed, his arm strength, you know, the injuries are what set Mike Vick back. You know, he was injured year after year after year. You know, he kept taking big hits, but he kept taking big hits because he was trying to make the big play downfield.
Make the big play. Yep.
And that was back when you had safeties like Troy Polamalu and Ryan Clark and Brian Dawkins trying to take your head off. Ed Reed trying to take your head off. John Taylor trying to take your head off. And so he was taking some massive hits from DBs. And even linebackers. The linebackers were ginormous when
Ray Lewis and all that.
They were
crew and all that.
265, 270. Middle linebackers today are 230. They're 20, 30 pounds lighter than they were when Mike Vick played.
And you know another thing, Ben, being you from Virginia, we got to remember the quarterback who was supposed to revolutionize the game was supposed to be Ron Curry out of Hampton, Virginia. He was the man coming out of high school, not Vic. Ron Curry was probably one of the greatest high school athletes of all time. There is no doubt about it. He was MVP of the McDonald's game. He was high school football player of the year 2 times, junior and senior year at Hampton High School. He was a top 5 recruit in the country in basketball. He was the number 1 recruit in the country in football. Ron Curry was man, he was phenomenal. But yeah, y'all, I think we come to the end of the show here. Another great show for you all. Let's give some shout outs. Ben, since you're the guest on, give some shout outs when you can, bro.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at the Sports Veteran, VETRAN. Also do articles, college football and entertainment articles for the Lions do. Mr. Will Lyons over here over on medium.com. They do phenomenal articles as well, covering TV and music, college basketball and NBA. So make sure you check out everything that the Lions is doing.
All right. Will, of course.
Well, I gotta segue from what Ben was saying. Shout out to the Lions, Ben. We looking forward. And shout out to our special guest, Ben. You're a great writer for us, and I had to have you on the show today, Ben. And you've exceeded expectations. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, Ben, thanks, man. Definitely, man. Shout outs to you, man. And shout outs to the listeners, man, as always, man. Definitely. And Happy New Year to everyone out there who's listening to us and is going to watch this podcast, man. And we'll see you in 2024, y'all. We're going to come back we're just getting better and better. We're going to come back with even bigger and better in 2024. So on behalf of Will and Ben, we say have a happy new year and everybody be safe. Peace.